Unlock the path to healing with Exposed podcast. Join us as therapists from around the world break mental health taboos, share powerful stories, and provide insights that transform lives. Tune in, educate, and thrive.
I feel, you fill in the blanks, you feel in the emotion you are feeling in that moment, and you state I need, and you say what you need. What you cannot do is use you in that sentence. The minute you start using you, person suddenly feels a little bit attacked.
Hello and welcome. Woo! In Expose podcast. Today we have with us Emilia Brewer, psychologist, psychotherapist, relationship expert, and international speaker featured in Psychology magazine. Emilia is trained in psychotherapy and hypnotherapy with qualification regulated by UKCP. She specializes in couple therapy, and that's exactly what we are talking today about, with techniques such as emotional focus therapy, Gottman method, NLP, CBD, and also with mindfulness and clinical hypnotherapy and life coaching. Emilia, thank you so much for deciding to join the Expose podcast.
You're welcome. Hello.
Emilia, could you share with us the key factors that contribute to creating lasting and fulfilling relationship?
So one of the main factors, I would say, that in creating a lasting and a loving relationship and supportive relationship, one of the main factors that I think is a secret of any happy, loving and lasting relationship is having the ability to resolve conflict in a relationship strengthening way. Because every single relationship is going to go through some kind of conflict in their time. And one of the main thing is having the ability to navigate through conflict and then resolve the conflict in a relationship strengthening way. What happens if you don't resolve conflict in relationship? Usually couples just kind of give up halfway through the conflict, thinking that we cannot resolve it anyway. But because of that, with each unresolved conflict, there is like a little rupture in the relationship. And what happens then is the emotional connection that you once had with your partner is breaking, and you are creating this kind of a wedge between you and your partner with each unresolved conflict. And you might actually remember times when you were having argument with your conflict and you were talking about or having argument about something so trivial like socks on the floor in the corner or something like that, and then suddenly throughout that argument every single little thing that you are still upset about that has not been resolved from the past is coming up. So why are we still talking about something that happened in 5 years ago? And it is usually because it's not resolved in your mind, and therefore you feel like you need to bring it up and you need to resolve that particular thing. So one of the main factors is definitely having the ability to resolve conflict in a relationship strengthening way. It is like if you imagine a relationship is being this kind of beautiful garden with loads of flowers, and then in this garden you have this one thing that's like a weed, and that is that unresolved conflict. And if you don't deal with this particular weed, it's going to overpower the whole garden. You are going to lose the beautiful flowers and there are going to be weeds everywhere. It's just spreading just because of that one unresolved conflict. And there are many ways how to resolve conflict, but I teach people how to resolve conflict in my couple therapy retreats. You might mention that later, I don't know. And that is probably the main thing that we focus on. And I find that my couples find that the most helpful part. Resolving conflict doesn't mean that you compromise. Resolving conflict means that you find a solution, a win-win solution that you are both happy with. Because if one of you compromises over and over and over, what happens then halfway through somewhere at some point in your relationship, you are going to come to that point where you feel enough. I cannot compromise anymore. I had enough. I need to kind of move on from this relationship and find different partner who is going to be able to understand me and allow me to actually be myself rather than constantly compromise to somebody else's needs and wants. Yeah. So I would say that is the main thing. There are a few other factors that contribute to happy relationship. There are intimacy, affection, attention. All of these things are very, very important in relationship. If you don't have those things, you are basically not satisfying many needs and wants in the relationship. You have just a friendship. Yeah. But the main thing I would focus on in each relationship is to learn how to resolve conflict. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for teaching
Mhm.
us about the power and the importance of problem resolution. And it's something what we many times might bring up from our homes, like the way we used to handle
Yes.
problems, how our caregivers used to handle problems. We
Yeah.
saw it, we kind of model it, we bring it up, and it
Yeah.
does work. And then,
Yeah.
and the same,
Well, very
yeah.
often. Yeah, that's exactly what you are saying. That is exactly correct. What we tend to do is we tend to mimic our parents' behavior. So if we saw our parents resolving conflict in certain way, whether it is withdrawing from the situation or maybe attacking the other partner, it's happening because we saw it and it's programmed in our subconscious mind, and it's kind of automatic process. Then we go straight back into that behavior because that's what we learned. Yeah. But as an adult, if you look at your situation and kind of think, okay, we seem to be having the same kind of issue in the relationship over and over, is there another way to deal with this particular issue, and maybe better way? What would be the consequence if I change the way I deal with that particular issue? Yeah. Am I going to get what I need from the relationship? And very likely you are going to get that answer yes, depending on how you choose to resolve that conflict. Yeah.
And if you need help, you have an expert, Emilia. And at the end, we're going to talk about how people can work with you and connect
Yeah.
with your workshops and the retreats you are doing in
Mhm.
Ibiza, even.
And in England,
And
mainly in the UK. They are I am doing them once every 2 months now. So in the UK, so they are more common. The one in Ibiza is only once a year. Mhm.
Could you share with us some of the effective communication strategies to improve relationship dynamic and minimalize misunderstanding?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you kind of look at any relationship dynamic, what usually happens in each relationship, you are going to have one person that is going to be the pursuer in the relationship, somebody who is going to start the conversation. And then you have the other person. Sometimes, yeah, it can be 50-50, but in my experience, women tend to be more, but it could be that it's just because I'm dealing with the clients, because honestly, I've seen many men doing this, being the person who starts the conversation, the pursuer. And the other person tend to be withdrawer. They tend to withdraw from the communication. There is a reason why this is happening. So if you go into that dynamic, if you kind of imagine the pursuer being somebody who is thinking, okay, we have some kind of issue in the relationship. I would like to resolve this issue, and I would like to discuss it with my partner and resolve the issue together. So if you kind of look at it like, let's say, as you mentioned, let's say in our example, the woman is going to be the pursuer. And she's thinking about this particular thing. She's been thinking about it for a few days now. Yeah. And then she's thinking, today I'm going to speak to him about it. Yeah. And he comes home, he's very tired, he's exhausted from work. Maybe he had a difficult day at work. And she goes, I would like to speak to you about this particular thing. And he goes, and do you know what? I'm just feel so tired right now. Is there any chance we could speak about it later? When she's then thinking, well, we'll never talk about it if I don't speak to you about it now. Yeah. So what then happens is the pursuer starts, oh, it will just take 5 minutes. Can we just please talk about it now? And they will not allow the withdraw from the situation, because they already know what is going to happen. They are just going to try to withdraw from the situation. Yeah. So the pursuer starts almost exaggerating or raising voice or following the other person around. The reason why this is happening is because they don't feel that the withdrawer is actually listening and paying attention to them. So they start raising voice, maybe they maybe start using certain words that are not very pleasant, and all of this is happening. Not always, it could just be they are just following them around and talking about that particular thing. There will be a point when they realize that the withdrawer is not the listening, he's withdrawing from the situation, and that is when they give up in that situation. They are no longer believing that this conflict is going to get any resolution there. Yeah. So then the withdrawer withdraws from the situation and pursuer stopped pursuing. Yeah. But what is happening in that moment? The pursuer starts creating an internal story. And the internal story goes like this. She is always, no, this is pursuer, sorry. He never cares. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to resolve the conflict. Yeah. So this is her internal story. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about our relationship. Yeah. And then she will finish that internal story with, he doesn't love me. Yeah. Whilst the withdrawer is withdrawing from the situation and creating internal story as well. And that internal story goes like this. She is always complaining. I can never do anything well. There's always something wrong with me. She doesn't love me. And now we have two people who think the same thing. He doesn't love me and she doesn't love me. And with each interaction like this, there is that wedge between them happening that is kind of disconnecting them. That is like kind of when you have an emotional connection with someone, with every single interaction that is not resolved, that wedge is kind of breaking that emotional connection and they are separating. Yeah. The problem with this type of communication is the reason why withdrawer is withdrawing from the situation. They most likely feel attacked by the way the pursuer is actually communicating. Because if you use a certain style of communication, like you never, you always, you are this, you are that, you don't want to resolve this conflict, you are always, you are lazy, you are these things, which is almost like attacking somebody's character. That's fastest way of losing the other person. Yeah. And this other person has, the withdrawer has no other option than be in survival mode after that kind of interruption. And in survival mode, we have two options or three options. We have three options. It's fight, flight, or freeze. So that's exactly what they are going to do. They are going to either fight, meaning withdraw from the situation, or they can withdraw from the situation up until the point they start attacking the pursuer. So they attack back because they are trying to defend themselves, or they freeze. So we have now withdrawer in the survival mode. And the reason why they are in survival mode is because the way the pursuer communicated their needs and wants. Now, what happens here? The pursuer will never stop having those needs and wants. If those needs and wants are still there, like, I don't know, you don't pay attention to me, you don't kiss me, you don't love me, there's no affection here, or whatever the pursuer's complaint is, that need and want is never going to go away. That is always going to be there. So she is going to keep communicating this need until she realizes she's never going to get that satisfied from this side. And maybe she will then start looking somewhere else for this need to be satisfied. Yeah. And this is how people actually break up, how they have affairs, because there's a need in here that has never been satisfied. Most of breakups, most of infidelity happens because of something missing in the relationship. Yes, obviously there might be that one night stands where people get drunk and do stupid things. I'm not talking about that. But if there is an affair that is a long-term romantic relationship style affair, it is because there was something missing. Usually, I'm not saying 100% of the time, but usually there's something missing in the relationship. So it is important to listen when a pursuer comes in and talks about some kind of issue. And it's also important for a pursuer to address withdrawer or the other person in a correct way. So they are not being sent to the survival mode, but they are actually open to the communication. If somebody feels attacked, the only thing they are left with to do is to defend themselves, which is meaning they are going to go into survival mode, and that is either going to withdraw from the situation, attack back, or they are going to freeze. Yeah. So there are many ways how you can communicate your needs and wants that is actually going to be beneficial for the relationship. One of the ways which I teach at the retreat is called the non-violent communication. And the non-violent communication is when you state your need or want in a sentence which goes like this: I feel. You fill in the blanks, you fill in the emotion you are feeling in that moment, and you state I need, and you say what you need. What you cannot do is use you in that sentence. The minute you start using you, person suddenly feels a little bit attacked and they feel like they have to defend themselves. So I'll give you some examples so you can understand how that sentence would go. Yeah. So if you said, I feel lonely, I need some time with someone, I need attention, I need cuddles, I need affection, you are stating your need and want without actually saying to that person that there is something wrong with them because they are not doing it. We have to remember that nobody's been put on earth for us to satisfy our needs. It has to be their choice. They have to choose to give us that cuddle, give us that time, what affection, attention that we are requiring. But we cannot demand it. The minute you start demanding it, there could be some resentment, there could be some defensive behavior, there could be something that we are not liking and we are not even valuing anymore because it wasn't their choice. It's like saying to somebody, you never say you love me, and that person will say, I love you. It doesn't count because you demanded that and it doesn't feel like a genuine sentence anymore. It's a genuine gesture. Yeah. So one of the ways to communicate your needs and wants is by filling in blanks into sentence. I feel, I need. I feel overwhelmed, I need help with housework, for example. Yeah. You can add your blanks. If you have something in mind, you can just say, did anything come to your mind when I was speaking? I feel, I need.
Yeah, I would say I feel tired. Could you make me massage on my feet?
Well, we have that little issue there because you asked them to do something. If you said, I feel tired, I need a massage, then they can choose to do the massage. Yeah. But if you say, you never give me massage, or can you give me massage? It's suddenly demanding, something. So they could say, well, you never give me massage. And it suddenly becomes an argument about who give me massage, yeah, who could
Yeah.
give who massage. Another way to communicate is when you want somebody, like look at children, for example. If you want your child to do more of something, yeah, like let's say sweeping the kitchen floor or something, yeah, you appreciate what they do, and they will start doing more of that thing. So it's like a appreciation talk. I love when you, and you highlight things you love about your partner, what they do. Like, I love when you cook. I love when you, I don't know, clean my car. I love when you do these things for me. So you are appreciating instead of saying, I hate when I hate when you are lazy. I hate when you don't do anything. I hate. So instead of focusing on the negative on that person, you are focusing on all the positives. And then suddenly they start doing more and more of those things. It's quite simple actually, because it really, really works. If you want to test it, if you have a partner, if you want to test it, just ask I love when you cook. And suddenly they are cooking every night. Yeah. So that's another
Or they say, what do you want? Or they say, what do you want? You're too nice.
Yeah, yes. And you will just say what you need, what you want, and you just kind of it always works. Just try it, just test it. Everybody who is listening, just test this tonight, and you will see that tomorrow they'll be cooking again, and they'll be cooking again. But the same thing, probably you need to appreciate every single day. If you have steak, and you start going, all right, you cook other things very well too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for such a comprehensive and deep answer with examples, and that really helps to, understand it more than just saying this and this, like role playing, how we did it. That's really, I think, impactful.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not sure if that actually answered my next question, but you will tell me how how can couple navigate conflicts and disagreements in positive and productive manner?
Okay, I'll give you an example of one couple that I met. I was sitting at I don't know if you've been to Heathrow Airport in London.
I flew through. Yeah, I stopped by, because I had fly through, so I had to wait there, I think.
Okay, so if you go to Terminal 5, they have these special pots that you go in, and these little white bubbles kind of pots. It's quite futuristic. It looks really amazing, actually. They take you straight from the airport to your car, to your plane. Yeah, so like from Terminal 5, you are transported by these futuristic pods to your plane. It looks good, yeah. What happened was, so I was in one of these pods, and each pod I think sits probably 6 people, and I was sitting next to this couple, and I could hear them talking, and the older man, it was like an older couple, the older man started saying, I can't believe how slow these pods are, how slow these trains are. And she kind of just looked at him and just kind of smirked. And then he said again a few minutes later, can't believe these pods are so slow. And she goes, well, I think they are timed so they don't crash into each other. They have to go slowly. Yeah. And then a few minutes later, he said, I can't still believe how slow these pods are. They are quite slow, actually. And what happened afterwards, she just looked at him and said, do you want me to get out and start pushing this part? Now, there was a problem with that interaction. The problem was she assumed that he's just complaining. The correct way, what would be the correct way of dealing with that situation?
I feel discomfort when you keep mentioning.
Oh, you are. It's lovely that you are implementing already what we talked about. Well done, well done. The correct, whenever you start an argument or somebody's having an argument with you, you or the other person, it's very important to know why. Why is that person complaining? Why they are doing these things? Why are they hurting me? What is behind it? Because nobody purposely tries to hurt anybody else. Nobody, unless they are a psychopath. Yeah, but everybody is usually trying to make themselves feel better or happier. So there is a reason behind each behavior. If the lady asked, I know they are a little bit slow, these trains. Is there a reason why this is bothering you? Yeah. Why are you not, why are you so bothered about the speed of the boats? He would then probably say, I'm a little bit worried whether we make it to the plane on time because, I have a bad leg. They were a little bit older. And I think, it might be too tight before we get to the plane part. She would then say, don't worry, darling, they have our cases. They cannot leave without us. They'll wait for us. And the whole conversation would stop. Yeah. But because her response was the way it was, they started bickering and they had a very unpleasant flight, I'm assuming. Yeah. So when you are trying to resolve conflict, there is a reason why that person is trying to resolve that conflict. And when you know the reason, you can come up with a solution. And it doesn't have to be. What happens usually when I have my couples in my office, they are both trying to prove why they are right and why the other person is wrong. But if they look at the problem as a team and see the situation being fault, not them. You are not wrong, I am not wrong, we are both right here, but we have this particular problem with the situation. How can we resolve that situation together? Why this problem is here? What is it that you need, and what is it that I need? And then we can put it together, and then we can find a win-win way. I'll give you another example how to actually find a win-win way to resolve conflict.
Thank you.
So I had another couple coming in, and she was very angry. And the reason why she was angry was because she was not invited to a wedding. So this was his second marriage. Yeah. His daughter from his first marriage invited him to a wedding, but his current wife wasn't invited to the wedding. I feel there was some kind of overlap in finishing the relationship, and therefore the family basically didn't like her and they didn't want her at the wedding. Yeah. And maybe obviously didn't want to upset the mother or whatever that was the situation was. So she came in very angry and she was saying, they should start respecting me. I am his wife now. I should be invited to the wedding. And she was really, really angry. Not obviously in a non-judgmental way, just wanting to understand. I asked her, why does she want to go to that wedding? Because in my mind, that wedding wouldn't be a pleasant situation for her if people didn't like her. Yeah. And she said, well, I should be now invited to these things because I'm his wife. They should respect me as his wife. But after a while, after a little bit of questioning, I asked her, what is the real reasons? Why do you want to go to this wedding? And then she came with the real answer. So sometimes you have to ask a few times before you get the real answer there. Yeah. And the real answer was, I don't want to sit at home by myself whole weekend whilst he's having fun somewhere else. Yeah. So when we now had the real answer, real reason why, we could come up with a win-win solution to that problem. So I said, why don't you both go to the hotel or even different hotel nearby? You can spend Friday and Saturday until the wedding together. Then she would go and have some massage, pedicure, manicure, maybe go shopping, whilst he's at the wedding. And then after he's done his bit, because he really didn't want to be there either. He just wanted to do the main part, which is, taking his daughter down the aisle. Then he can come back to you and you can continue your weekend. Would that work? But that way she's not sitting at home. He gets to do what he needs to do with his daughter at the wedding, and then they have time together as well. We came up with a win-win. Obviously, she was happy. He gave her his credit card for shopping. So she was really, really happy. He was happy that he got to do the wedding without any drama. Everybody was happy. And we came up with a win-win. So with each couple, if they sit down and instead of blaming each other and attacking each other, they sit down and say, well, this is the situation. The reason why I'm upset about this situation is this. This is the real reason. Come up with a real reason. And then they together come up with a solution which both of them are happy with. You can come up with a win-win. And then you have conflict resolution where you don't no longer worry about not resolving conflict and it coming up back next time in the next conflict, the next time in the next conflict, because that conflict was not resolved. And also because it wasn't any compromise there, they will not come up with that conflict in next conflict or that story in the next conflict, because they will not feel like they have to compromise. Yeah. So that's the main way how to resolve conflict.
Thank you so much for bringing those examples. And with the first story, it made me wondering and being curious. Is it why do we take things personally? Like I see it in my behavior and many women that when a man say something, like comment, but not his opinion more likely, we feel like we have to change it.
Yeah.
You have to respond to it, like actually physically. And then it turns out that it was never about me doing anything. And it was just him expressing something, complaining. So why is this a tendency for women more? And if not, just generally, if you could speak about why do we take things personally, and instead of getting curious and asking more?
Two things happening there. So it's for both men and women, absolutely both. The way sometimes things are delivered, I'm not saying about the pot couple, I'm talking the way sometimes things are delivered is exactly the way that it sends us to that survival mode. So why don't you give me massage? Yeah. And suddenly, well, why should I give you a massage? Yeah. It's very kind of defensive. When you use that language, it's like expectation. It's, what are you saying? If you said something like, I feel really, really tired today. Oh my God, I could actually benefit from some massage. Suddenly it's a different kind of thing. It's not attacking. Sometimes when people talk to us and the way we talk to other people, we feel they are attacking us, and the way we talk as well, they can feel like we are attacking them. So it's the way we are using the language can send that person into defensive. Yeah. So when you are responding to somebody, it is because the way they are talking to you is sending you to that survival mode, and you are being in the fight or flight or freeze response, meaning I now have to defend myself. Yeah. And then the second thing is, if we are criticized, for something, it goes back to when we were children. We are almost like it's our intuition. We feel we have to please people because when we are little, we need our adults to look after us. And if we don't have our adults to look after us, we are most likely not going to survive. So we feel like we need to please mom, we need to please dad. We are trying to actually constantly be exactly the way they want us to be, because that is linked to love, and love is linked to survival. If people love us, we'll survive. So if we are somehow criticized, it means that we are not perfect. This is what I'm doing, perfect. We are never perfect, but we are not perfect for that person, which can lead that they could to them leaving us. And we are still linking it to that. If somebody leaves us, if we don't have our person, if we don't have our tribe, and we are rejected, it affects how we are going to survive in this world, in the society. Yeah. So we now have to defend ourselves. We are right. Very often I had few clients telling me that halfway through conflict, they realized that they are wrong and the other person is right, but they still continued with the conflict and defending themselves. Yeah, because they could not lose the conflict. They just could not lose the conflict. They'll rather continue with whatever they started and trying to persuade the other person that they are right, rather than lose the conflict, lose the argument.
Could you share with us some of the ways you, as a relationship expert, discover they really help to sustain the passion and intimacy in the long-term relationships? This is a spicy question. I feel like my favorite.
What is intimacy? Intimacy is not just literally physical intimacy. Intimacy is, I think there are four pillars to intimacy. First one is time. Spending time together. Spending time together, it doesn't mean just being next to each other. You are paying attention to each other. You are discussing things. You are making plans for the future. You are talking about your dreams, your goals. That's time, spending time together. Attention is paying attention to each other. Like it goes to, I'm sure everybody knows like 5 love languages. Yeah. Do you know 5 love languages?
Right, I remember that. Yeah, there is like like mine was the service.
The act of services, yes.
That's why I said massage.
Well, that's a good one. I like that one. So we have time, when you spend time together, yeah, paying attention to each other, all of these things. The next one is touch. Touch is when you are, and that's not just physical intimacy, as I keep saying. It's just touching each other when you are next to each other, kissing and doing all these little cute cuddles and all of these things on the sofa. Then we have acts of service, when you do stuff for each other, like cook, or I don't know, he changes oil in your car, whatever, little things for each other. Then we have presence. Presence is affection. It's the way you show your love in every nation. Even animals do that. Cats brings you a little mouse because she loves you so much, and you scream, and it's surprised looking at the mouse. Don't you like this one? I'll bring another one. Yeah. And then we have time, touch, acts of service. Then we have presence, and we have words of appreciation. It actually goes back to that. I love when you, as we talked before, or you don't say I hate when you go left. I love when you go right. So you appreciate what the other person does for you. So when you go back to intimacy, so 4 pillars of intimacy is time, spending time together, attention, which covers all the 5 love languages. Yeah, you are paying attention to your partner. Yeah, you put their needs and wants first. All of these things are happening there. Then we have affection. Affection is those little touches and kisses and noticing them, being close together, seeing them when they come home from work, being excited about them being home. Often I see my clients saying, he just walked by and didn't even make eye contact. He just went upstairs straight away. He didn't even acknowledge that I am there in the kitchen cooking meal for him. Now, it can be the other way around. I'm not saying men do that, men or women, affection. So it's the next pillar. And then we have the last one, and that is the physical intimacy. That is sex. Yeah. So that's what is intimacy. But there are many things that you can do to make intimacy a little bit more fun. And it is very good to explore what kind of toys there are, what your partner likes. The open communication is extremely important when it comes to intimacy. So many people just don't want to talk about it, but it's important to teach your partner, because we are all different. What we like and when we like it, how we like it, how often we like it. Yeah. So that is intimacy. I usually do at my retreat. I ask my couples to draw a pie chart and separate it into sections. So the pie chart comes in. You can actually try it. Whoever is listening to this at home, and you are listening to it with your partner, watching this with your partner, do not look at your papers. To draw 2 pie charts there, and then separate that pie chart into 4 sections, taking into consideration that each pie chart has 100%, is 100%. And you separate that 100% into 4 sections, depending on how much of it is, what's the percentage for time, how much time you spend together. Like I'd say 10%. Time is not just physically being next to each other, as I said. Time is paying attention to each other. Yeah. Then how much is spent on attention? Yeah. How much are you doing for your partner? What are you doing for your partner? What's the attention? Are you buying them presents? Are you telling them that you love them? Are you being physical with them, like physical touches? Yeah. Then the next one is going to be affection. How much time do you spend watching TV together, being close together, touching, kissing, all of these things? Yeah. What's the percentage there? And then the last one, how much of that is sex? And then once you have these 2 pie charts next to each other, obviously don't look at each other's as you're drawing it, then compare it. And if there is any part of it that is less than 25%, that part needs attention. That is the part that needs to be focused on. I have sometimes couples, actually, I separate them so they are on different sides of the room when they are doing this exercise. And then I ask them to come back. And I had in last 2 retreats, 2 couples drawing exactly the same pie chart. So they know exactly. But most of the time, it's like certain parts are exaggerated by men and certain parts are exaggerated by women. And then we are meeting somewhere in the middle. Yeah. But we never have any sex. That usually comes from men, but I don't want to generalize like this. It could be from the other side as well. Yeah. And then the other side is we never have any affection, whenever he or she, it's usually he, the complaint is usually about him. Whenever he touches me, he just wants to have sex. He doesn't want to pay attention give me attention or time. Touch means that we are going to go and do something. Or sometimes it feels like it's transactional, where I don't know, if he or she brings takeaway home, it means that we are going to have sex. All of these things I had in my retreat, these complaints. But if you cover all areas and spend 20% of the time on time, 20% of it is on attention, 20% of it is on affection, and 20% of it is on sex, then usually you have a very happy couple, as long as they also know what their partner likes when it comes to sex. Yeah, and what they do.
Wow, that was so I would say deep answer and full of great examples. And also I hope so many of our audience can relate and see themselves and create those circles of their couple.
Yeah. Try the exercise at home and see. It might lead to an argument, which means then they will have to come to my retreat. But they can then test the techniques that we were talking about at the beginning. They will go, I feel,
Right.
and then they say, I need. But remember, whenever you have a conflict, look at it as a team and go against the situation. That you are both right. It's just a situation that is not okay, that needs to be resolved. Yeah. In a win-win way, exactly as we discussed before.
Well, thank you so much, Emilia, for being on Expose Podcast. Is there anything else would you like to add on the last minutes? Is there anything I didn't ask you, or you feel like, let me share this?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for inviting me to the podcast. I'm really looking forward to seeing this actually being played. I hope there's loads of plays there.
Yes.
But yes, if you do want to contact me and just come to the retreat, I think there is loads of helpful exercises and teachings that you can learn that we have not covered here, and some of them are linked to relationship breakup stages, some of them are linked to what stages actually relationship goes through, what is the most important part of the relationship, which stage, which is usually the second stage, which is the power struggle stage. This is when you learn how to resolve conflict in a relationship strengthening way. All of that is covered there. So if we were going to sit here and do the podcast for another 8 hours, I would still have loads of content that we could go through. So yes, if you want to learn more, just come to my retreat and I will teach you how to do all of these things. And you can then become one of those couples that say, I love her or him more than I love them when we met. Like most of my couples say after the retreat. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
That's so exciting. I would love to participate in those. So I will make sure.
Yeah, you would be welcome to come in just to kind of sit down and just have a little, listen and look what it's like. Yeah.
Yeah, I will bring my another part, and we all can meet in Ibiza.
Yes, you can.
So I will make sure to add this link. And I just have this question in the back of my mind. I don't know if we still have time.
Okay.
And it's about the trust building and like how to approach feeling jealous about someone. Could you?
That is such a popular topic on my retreats. This goes back to fear, because the problem with insecurity in a relationship. There is a test I do at the retreat, which separates couples into different attachment styles. You may have heard of attachment styles, and one of them is called insecure attachment style. And that is usually where people are a little bit more jealous, a little bit more controlling. They're really lovely because they give you loads of love and attention, but they need it back as well. Mm-hmm. And then if that is not happening, they start feeling a little bit insecure in the relationship. Now, just a quick one, because obviously I could talk for 2 hours about this topic. When somebody is a little bit jealous or insecure in a relationship, there are two ways of overcome fear. One of them is flooding, which I will not mention now because I don't think we have much time, and I would not recommend that one anyway. The second one is called systematic desensitization. What I say to my clients, you cannot stop yourself doing something just because your partner is jealous or insecure in the relationship. What happens is you are strengthening their fear. That fear is there for a reason. something happened to them when they were little, maybe one of their parents left or died, or they were somehow separated and experienced separation anxiety from their parents, or it could also develop as a result of an affair or infidelity later in their life in one of their relationships. Yeah. So this fear is now sitting there and it's affecting how they are viewing situation. And usually there's nothing happening there that they should be jealous. There is some kind of illogical thinking. There is no logical proven thing that somebody is being, there's infidelity or being unfaithful or cheating. This is all happening in their mind usually. And after a while, when the logic comes back in, they go, oh, I have no idea why I was so worried about it. There was nothing happening. It's just my mind making up these stories. Now, if you think about the fear that you have here, and your normal is here, when you feel fine, and the fear of somebody doing something is here, what I suggest, do not, let's say you would be jealous of your partner going out and meeting with friends, because then he would then meet another girl and fall in love and leave. Yeah. Now, so you say, don't go out. I don't want to experience that fear. I want you to stay at home and just be with me. Yeah. If they do that, they are making your fear stronger. They are strengthening their fear. They are satisfying that need for you to stay, together. And therefore, every single time they are doing something, that fear is going to come up. The only way you can overcome that fear is to desensitize yourself to it and learn that in spite of the fact that they went out, they still come back to you. There was nothing happening. Nobody did anything. They came back and said, I love you. I love you. I want to be with you. I missed you. Yeah. So you systematically desensitize yourself to that fear. And more often they go out and come back to you and, everything is great and they still love you. You will feel less fear with each one and you will come to the normal. And there will be a moment when they'll say, yeah, I'm going out with friends. And you go, yeah, all right. Because you will not experience that fear anymore. You desensitize yourself to the point. Now, if every single time they said, well, I'm not going out then because I don't want you to feel that, you would not get a chance to overcome that fear. Yeah? So the only way to resolve the fear is by going through that situation you are afraid of and then have an experience of it not happening, it not being true. Like, for example, they will be falling in love with somebody else and leaving you. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that great example and taking my extra question, which I hope many people can at least have a little more understanding before they do your workshops and actually experience it. And I always say that the relationships are in some way teachers for us to grow, and it really is. It really is. So thank you so much, Emilia, for your time, your generosity, your knowledge, and I'm so honored to have you on the podcast. And thank you for deciding to contribute. And let me know also if there is anything you want me, audience, to do for you.
No, thank you very much for letting me to talk to you. This was a really, really interesting conversation. And I love talking about this topic anyway. So it's absolutely fine. Yes, you're very welcome. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Make sure to follow Emilia. I will upload the website. You can follow her and you can take part in Emilia workshops in person, get to know Emilia, fly to UK, and there's another reason to go to UK, or her another retreat once a year in Ibiza. Or we're also doing online.
Yes. I do also therapy sessions online. So if somebody actually just wants to have a one-to-one therapy session, that's absolutely also possible. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Right.
Thank you, Emilia.
No problem. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this interview, and please subscribe my YouTube channel. For you, it's a one click. For me, it means the possibility to continue creating impact in the world with those videos. Thank you, and see you soon.